our next panelists come up. And as they're coming up, I want to take you back to June 20th of last year. June is not a time you should be worried about fire, right? But as Colleen was just saying, it is a new time to be worried about fire. I remember on June 20th of last year, I was at my parents' home preparing for their 50th wedding anniversary party. They live up above Stagecoach, and as I was coming around the corner of the house with my brother-in-law, I looked over his shoulder and I said, "Oh," and put in your favorite four-letter word. And he said, "What? What's going on?" And I said, "Turn around and look." And he turned around and looked and he said, "What is that?" And I said, "That's a fire." And that was on June 20th, and that was the outbreak of the Landslide fire. I was worried about 100 people being prepared for the 50th anniversary. I was worried about porta potties and food and plastic ware. I was not worried about fire evacuation, right? And we had to turn our plans upside down because we've got to do fire season. And that's one of the things we learned last year. We're going to have these gentlemen tell us what else we learned last year. So here, our number one guy, Sam Parsons, right here, is with the Division of Fire Protection Control. We've got both DeMore with Routt County Emergency Management, Kevin Thompson with U.S. Forest Service, and Mike Schwinzik. I never see your name right. Mike, okay, good. With North Routt Fire Protection District. So they're going to let us know what they learned last year and how that is going to be valuable as we work into our community wildfire protection plans. You gentlemen have a preference who goes first? Okay, Mike, we're handing off to you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Okay. As Todd mentioned, I'm Mike Schwinzik with North Routt Fire. I've lived up at North Routt going on 30 years now. Been with North Routt since 05, and I've seen just about every fire that's occurred in North Routt. We average anywhere from 12 to 20 fires a year up there. Most of them are small. We keep them small. There's a few that get big, and you all know about the ones that got big. We work closely with a lot of landowners doing mitigation work, helping them do pile burning, and coordinate with the mitigation companies and see if a couple of you here, and help folks get the slash and timber material and mitigation work done around their properties. I think it's going pretty well. Lessons learned from last year. Number one lesson I learned was don't go to town to take the dog to the vet or go down to Denver for the wife's doctor appointment, because we end up getting wildland fire on those days. But the biggest thing I learned over the last 8-9 years as chief up there is when we get something, notify Mo, Sam, Kevin, and BCU, but I can't remember your name, Brandon Vogel. Reach out to them early, let them know what's going on, try and get resources ordered as early as we can. Routt County as a whole is resource limited on staffing, so the quicker we can get boots on the ground coming to the fire, the better. And then second, you can help us the most by doing mitigation work around your properties as much as possible. We don't have enough resources to get to everybody in our specific districts. So the more work you can do around your homes and harden them, the State Forest Service has a great program, the HIS program, that you've probably heard about or talked about already. Home ignition zone. It's a great program. Follow it. And, so
good morning, I'm DeMore, I'm Routt County Emergency Manager. I've been here 5 years, and I think I brought one of these fires with me since we were the first DFF for the Emergency Fire Fund. It was 2017, which was about the same time I got here. But I think there are three main lessons learned or points I'd like to provide, and some of these, the big one will provide some validation, I guess, of what the Chief Smith said, and that is our resources. And we've had a lot of fires, and And we rely heavily on our state and federal partners, and we've always got their help. But sometimes it takes time. And for example, Mike's slide, Kevin and I were there the day it started on Father's Day. We could see it. We knew it was potential to get big. So we had every fire district that we had provided resources that fire. We had 5 fire districts. Every one of them provided at least a single engine or an engine or a tank or something like that. And Kevin right away knew that we would need a additional resource, so we're looking for it. And while we eventually got most of what we needed, maybe 3 or 4 days. So it's important for us that we have to rely on what we have, maybe for 3 or 4 days. Additionally, we need overhead. So we're taking some actions now. I know that I spoke with the city council and we're putting things together with our commissioners where we're putting a local incident management team together. This is the first year, I think we have 2 of our districts that have hired seasonal crews, so we're getting more, but we still will be, I think, having to rely on ourselves for, I said, 2 or 3 days. So the takeaway there is that, like I think Chief Swinsick mentioned, that we need the property owners to try to mitigate their problems, make them more resilient, because it may be a few days before we get people there. We also need to try to slow the progress of these fires. So not just at the property level, but at the communities. If we can slow the progress of these fires, if they are getting much more complex and they're getting bigger, quicker, if we can slow that progression, then give us time to get those resources. Like in our previous group, we saw the competing demand in maybe the Southwest, and we're going to see those resources may not be there when we need them, or at least the time that we want to save some of those values at risk. So anything we can do to slow those progressions down will be beneficial. The second point I want to mention is that one of my biggest concerns is the public alert warning. So I won't put it on the spot, but we keep on advertising the register for Routt County alerts. That is so critical for us to get information out there. So if I start finding some numbers, we have roughly 25,000 people in the county. The initial number I'll say is we have over 16,000 registrations. So that sounds pretty good. It's not really as good as it is, as it sounds, because the majority of those, about 10,000, are registrations that come automatically if you have a landline. So 10,000 of those registrations are landlines. Not many people use landlines anymore. And out of those 10,000 registrations that are landlines, about 8,000, I think, a little over 8,000 are for businesses. So we're not able to get to the public as well because not as many people have those landlines. The other thing with the landlines is that while that comes over from the phone company to get those numbers automatically, you don't provide your email address or your mobile phone numbers. Those are just numbers that come through. So then we rely on our online registrations. Online is where you go to the website, routtcountyworks.com, and you can provide multiple addresses, a work address, a home address. If you spend a lot of time with another family member, by those addresses, by multiple phone numbers. So that's how we would reach people. We're about 6,900 people that have done online registration. So we're talking about 26% of the population that's registered for Routt County workers. And this is the most effective way to get hold of people when they have to evacuate. And then the last thing, the evacuations are always hard. First, determining what areas need to be evacuated. We don't want to. We have minimum. We don't have necessarily redundant egresses for a lot of our communities. We don't want to clog up the roads. So anyway, it's important that we plan those. So now we are looking at standardized evacuation zones. We're working on that this summer. Part of the community wildfire protection plan that we'll be doing, we're identifying those areas that have egress challenges and identifying some fixes to that. Improve our evacuation, specifically at the time of the summer. So those are the 3 big takeaways to me.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? My name is Sam Parsons. I work for the state of Colorado. I work for the Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control, and we're kind of a new agency. So I'll give a quick background. We were created in 2012. We are the lead state agency for wildland fire suppression, response, planning, and preparedness. What's interesting about our agency is that we don't have any jurisdictional land, nor do we actually have any authority within the state of Colorado. Because the state is a local control state, the authority for wildland fire on non-federal land falls to the county sheriff. So Sheriff Wiggins is actually the fire warden of this county. However, when the sheriff has a large wildland fire within his county and exceeds his capability to control or manage, he is able to request assistance from the state of Colorado and my agency and my folks that work here to get assistance, and we would come in and actually assume control of that fire on behalf of the sheriff. So we're kind of uniquely positioned to be a support agency for all these folks on stage and in the room. We support land management agencies, but we are a public safety agency first, and we follow the Department of Public Safety in Colorado. So why I'm here is because we have great relationships with all of our partners and everyone in the county here, and we're here to support in all the programs that is implemented. So I was thinking about this morning lessons learned from last year, and I think I want to go one more year before that, talk about 2020. That was the biggest year we've had in recent history. And I was thinking about evacuations and talking to you folks as the general public. And I'll tell a story. I was on East Charleston fire. I actually covered 10 counties in Colorado. I cover all of Northwest Colorado. So I travel all around this part of the state and go to all the largest fires typically. And on East Charleston, that fire had sat in the landscape for a little while, and it started to make some moves. And I remember driving around the fire here and thinking to myself, okay, well, how long is it going to really take to get from where it was on the forest to an actual community? Because we knew it was there, and we were having challenges putting it out. And I remember driving around to the Grand Lake area and seeing a car pull up and ask me, they were concerned homeowners, and they said, hey, we see the fire, it's about 5 miles away. How long do you think we have until we might need to evacuate? And we as an incident management team and not, we were getting ahead of that, trying to think of, predicting when it was going to get there. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to use my been in fire for 20 years, think of all the experience I've had. And I said, you probably have a day and a half or a day. And that's only if the fire aligns with the topography and the slope. So you have some time to prepare, and it may not even get there. Well, it turned out they had about 2.5 hours. So that fire blew up and made a run of 100,000 acres in a single night and roughly moved 20 miles in about 4 hours. So imagine Morgan Creek, roughly 20 miles from town here, making a similar run. And it's not here to scare you or shock you. Fire conditions have changed, and there's plenty of experts in this room from weather and fuels that will tell you that we have a different environment. And my 20 years of experience, it changed my whole paradigm. So when we had Mudslide last year, we were making plans for a 15 to 20 mile run with the incident management team. We were looking that far out ahead. We were looking at the Old Park subdivision in Kremlin when that fire was in light. So the whole paradigm has shifted. And I want you guys to remember that. As homeowners and property owners, be ready for evacuation. Have a list. If I have 1 hour to get out, what am I going to take? If I have 15 minutes to get out, what am I going to take? Sign up for the Routt County alerts. Know your evacuation routes. Prepare yourselves so you're not stuck in that position of saying, I think I have a day, but I only have 2 hours in reality. So I just want you guys to remember that the environment's changed, and we have a fire year, just like Tony talked about, and we have limited resources. And the last thing I'll say is the state of Colorado is trying to make moves to fill in the resource gaps, because typically fire resources are utilized on a national scale. And what we've done with the division, working with our state legislators, is trying to get a bill passed to fund additional aircraft. So we'll have 5 aircraft this summer, hopefully, if the bill passes. And we're also going to try to bolster our statewide dispatch system. Because another lesson we learned was We don't have a current dispatch system that supports a fire year. We have a dispatch system that supports fire seasons, and the seasons are gone. So we can't mobilize resources to a marshal fire in January or December, or to these fires in April in southeast Colorado. So, if you see those things on the horizon and you support them, please let folks know that we need that funding, we need new systems, so we can protect things locally here, and we can hold resources to the state of Colorado and keep them to protect this state, and they don't get pulled to the other parts of the nation that also have fire danger. So.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Thompson. I have the longest title, I think, up here, and that is I am the Fire Management Officer on the Medicine Boat Routt Thunder Base in the National Forest National Grasslands. And I forgot South Zone in there too. So there we go. So just like Chief Swensick said, we have really good working relations, all of us up here on this and the other departments that we have out here. And just like Noel referred, we've seen this over and over. We need more help, both on the ground, the planning side, behind the scenes when these fires are going. And then, like Sam says, every year somebody says, "Wow, I've never seen that." And there are people with 30, 40 years of fire, and we keep seeing this. So I don't see that changing after Colleen just gave us the upbeat presentation this morning. So with that, some of the other lessons that we learned. One of the big things on the Muddy Slide fire is I was the type 3 IC out of there. I remember showing up and being like, well, I guess this is mine, thank you. And what we realized is we have really good relationships working. We do an annual operating plan where we come together and decide that, yes, we can fight fire on each other's lands and everything. But we did realize then that what we didn't have was a delegation for our ICs. And that fire, once again, did things that we haven't seen before. We've seen big fires move through the night, like Sam said, in East Troublesome, but this one did it in June. We haven't seen that. We've seen it in the fall. And these emerging fires are going from all the different lands and everything. So with the delegation on that, as a Forest Service employee, I don't have delegation from the sheriff to make calls on private land. And so we realized that in Muddy Slide, and when all that other stuff is going on, sometimes little things like that go through the cracks. So we all came together this winter and we worked on that, and we now have a blanket delegation that allows us to take care of that. So that was really good and a lesson learned and something that we corrected. And then the other one that I see is just where we're at and hopefully where we're going with some of this is with mitigation. When I say mitigation, a lot of people go in there and they think of just going around their homes, right? Removing trees, cleaning up around their homes and stuff. But like Sam kind of hit too, is like, what are you doing to mitigate if you have to evacuate? There's mitigation in there, just like what Sam was saying, is it what are you gonna take in an hour? What are you gonna take in a half hour? What are you gonna do in 5 minutes? Because we're seeing that now. I mean, we saw that on December 30th, right? Or 31st, down in the Front Range. So we got to really pay attention. We're seeing this stuff. It shouldn't shock people. And then at the same side on the national level and everything is, what are we doing right now for mitigation if you are one of the unfortunate that do lose their home? What do you know how much insurance it's going to take to rebuild? Do you know where you're going to work? Do you know some of those things? Those are the things we can mitigate and start working on now. And we really need to focus and let people know that. So Caroline is giving me the peace sign, so I don't need 2 minutes of just there. Yeah, those are the things, and that's what we need to work on and help and really educate some people. So I think with that, we're now opening it up for questions, correct?
That is correct. And actually, she was giving you the victory sign, like you have nailed this, Kevin. That's what she was saying. So, wow, this is a great panel of people that you know and trust. These are our neighbors, our community members. What questions do you all have in the audience for these 4 gentlemen? Over here. Thank you, Sarah.
Would it be possible, I feel our whole family is on your alerts on the app. I have 2 girls that have horses and they saw those fires last year and they were like, Mom, what can we do? I'm like, put it all on your phone, know what's going on. But when, I think it was last month or a few weeks ago, there were some controlled burns going on, and not sure which group was doing it, not. And it did not come across on our app, and I talked to neighbors and they said, let's call, and we're out on, County Road 44, and we called, and it seemed like the dispatch was, or the guy that answered said, we've gotten a lot of calls. So if it did, come across, I just wonder if that's possible, so that we would just know not to worry about that fire.
And that's a good question, and we're trying to figure out the best way to do that. I will say that my general philosophy is I don't like to send out an alert unless I'm asked to take some action. What I don't want is people to get, kind of numb to alerts for air quality or for traffic. And then these things come through, it just becomes another one. So I generally haven't done it unless there is some action required for your own safety. There are other ways that we can advertise that too, whether it be posted or more than information on the website, we'll look at other means. So we will look at advertising those a little better instead of these about kind of alerts. And if I have,
We did try to go look online and see what was going on, and we couldn't figure out where to find that.
Yeah, so-
that-
I think Kevin's going to answer that question a bit more. And like I said, I know that there's a gap there we're going to fix.
Okay.
I'm just saying that I don't intend to do that. And one thing I didn't mention that I would like to, if I have the time, but not only does Routt County Alerts give that information, but it also helps us. I tell you, my biggest concerns are, I put out evacuation alerts, and how many people in that community, there may be a 15-year-old child that's watching an 8-year-old sibling and there's no parents home. How big is it? Or how about the individuals that are relying on home medical or don't have consultation? I don't know those. And with Routt County Alerts, you can indicate if you have an access to something need, so that when I get the data back and I look, I can see, okay, I need to get a wheelchair accessible van car. Because that information I just don't know. So when you register for Routt County Alerts, please indicate those things so we can help them.
I'll see how hit by an air system they can correct me, but I believe if you hashtag MBRTV, you will get our Twitter site for the Medicine route. And also we have our Facebook site, of course, there. Also, just to let you know, we do send out 7 days before any burn. We do put a notice in the paper and ask for people if they want to be notified to let us know. We usually get 0. So on that, and then we do send it to all the dispatch centers, everybody around. We do want to limit because we don't want to just have to spend all day making phone calls. But if you're interested in stuff like that, we do get it out there. It was on the radio and some other places too. We're trying to get it more. So.
I will add, that's an important piece of information you could write on your post-it note and put over here. Like, how can we, as county, state officials, our PIOs, Routt County State PI, Public Information Officer, how can we help you get the right information? So make a note. I saw it at the end right here.
Is there any way some of these organizations could put pressure on the phone companies to improve cell service in the county? At any given time, 5 or 10,000 don't have cell phone.
No, that's a good point. I've been up in North Rock, we have one cell tower, and it sits on the bridge between Steamboat Lake and Clark. And if you're not near Steamboat Lake or Clark, you're not going to get the signal. You're up on the wide, up in the circles, doing the Gold Creek Loop or whatever, and you're up high enough and need 911, chances are you're going to get line on with Union Cell or somebody. So, yeah, we need better cell coverage. We're going to rely on cell technology to get these alerts out of Routt County. And, north of town and south of town, and even west, not so much now, but are limited on resources for that. So, yeah, I agree with it.
Very good point, because we cannot send smoke signals anymore. Don't build a fire to send a smoke signal. Okay, this is our last question.
Hey, I was just trying to one last thing on that. I think it's easy already to know exactly when you should leave and make sure, because it is an inconvenience for everybody. But just remember, if you're in doubt, get out. And just, you know, if you don't have cell coverage, if you are, I know it's an inconvenience, and I know it's a big, you know, what a pain to move animals and gather all your documents, but if you're in doubt, just get out. I have unfortunately been on 3 fires that had fatalities, and 14 of them were killed in Tennessee, of citizens who did not get out in time or were trying to get out and were overcome by fire. Maybe because of cell coverage, maybe because of education. And there's folks that chose not to evacuate. These troublesome folks chose not to evacuate, and unfortunately they died. If you're in doubt, get out. It is a minor inconvenience. Homes can be replaced, trees will grow back, but you can't replace your life. So that's my message.
Okay, last question. So, I will pass to the, signing up for the alerts. I was in Netherlands and had a house in Netherlands and was there and went in for lunch one day in 2016 and 2017. And we got a reverse 911 that said evacuate, and then we came outside and could see the smoke at that point and drove fire to get out. So it does move that quick. We've done a lot of mitigation on our land in South Routt. I think, the HIC, which you mentioned, getting things cleaned around the house is great. What we lack here, I think, is what to do with that slash afterwards, because burning is pretty scary. So, they have a great slash yard set up in Boulder County. I would love to see something like that up here where we can haul our things out and get rid of it so it's not fuel anymore.
Any response? Oh,
I'll just say, we've been having this conversation with the council for some time, about how do we bring our partners together where you have homeowners responsibilities that they run the house, they get the council that has some grant money, and you have the county that can use it with the whole thing. So we're looking at that program that we hope to have in place. That's just one of our objectives of the council, is a coordinated collaborative approach to all the stakeholders, everyone, from the federal departments providing grants, state providing leadership, the county providing resources, and down the top, I think that's a state. We're just trying to template that out so that when money is available, like we heard in our presentation yesterday, we're ready to go, and everyone knows the roles and responsibilities. So hopefully also that's the work.
like one comment back here from the chief there, so.
Sorry, I couldn't let it go, but, Chuck Sarso, I'm the fire chief here in Steamboat. The one thing that I wanted to mention that piggybacks right on, as Mo was saying, is everything I've heard is really why the council now exists in Routt County, right? We want to try to be the organization that helps coordinate a lot of these efforts, bringing in the cell towers, right? Maybe spearheading that approach, spearheading slash programs, helping homeowners figure out how to do their mitigation work and having the funding and assistance to do it. And so one of the things we heard yesterday that I think resounded most with me is we need, and we're working very hard at the council level to try to get an executive director to try to make the big step from a new young nonprofit with a bunch of volunteers that have other jobs to one with an executive director that can be working in full time and helping coordinate all the efforts that Mo just mentioned. And that requires funding. And so we are really trying to wrap our heads around where that funding can come from. Can models like JP County work in Routt County? Where do we do that? And that's why this conference and everybody that's in here is so important for it. Because whatever effort we try to make to get those funds, we need help, right? We're going to need help from the community and people that are engaged and ready to help us get this funding, get that executive director going, really start coordinating all these efforts for us and bringing all these groups together and making sure that the projects that Forest Service are working on are also piggybacking with the private landowners, the ranch owners, the HOAs and all of that. So please, if nothing else, that's the lesson I learned from last year, is we really do need that coordination, and it requires money, unfortunately.
Thank you, Chuck. I really appreciate you putting the point on that. And it goes back to a chipping program would be wonderful, right? But it not only takes resources for the equipment, it takes people to manage. Who's got the chipper? Where is it? Who's maintaining it? And that takes money, as Chuck said, put that down on a Post-it note. Okay, good. And then, if it's there already, if you feel strongly about it, go put a sticker on her Post-it saying, yes, I agree with this. So let's hear it for these gentlemen, not only for today,